My beloved child, there are moments that have no name, yet your spirit recognizes them. They are not shaped by circumstances, but marked by the Eternal One. These are turning points of the soul, where you no longer find light from the world, but have not yet fully stepped into the radiance of heaven. In that stillness, there is an invitation, a calling not uttered by lips, yet resounding in the rhythm of your heartbeat. Are you ready? If you are hearing these words, it means that call has already begun knocking on the door of your heart. This is not coincidence, but a divine appointment set before the foundation of the world, a meeting between your soul and the one who breathed life into dust to form humankind. It is not scheduled in the routine of everyday life, but deeply embedded in the redemptive plan that was destined for your soul. My child, the world around you grows ever louder. The shouting of ambition, of worry, of endless demands surrounds you, convincing you that you must run faster, do more, become more just to feel worthy. Yet something within you begins to steer a faint but undeniable sense that even if you gained all those things, there would still be an emptiness nothing can fill. That is the whisper of your soul, still waiting to be awakened. My child, your soul was not born to live in forgetfulness. It cannot be satisfied by fleeting pursuits. It was created to resonate with heaven, to respond to the voice of the one who formed it. It truly comes alive only when it knows what it is living for, and that cannot be found on a list of achievements or in the applause of others, but in the bond between you and me. You are not the random result of circumstances. You are not an accident in the chaos. Even if you have been forgotten, rejected, or wounded by those who once promised love, there is one who has never turned his face from you. From the moment you were an unformed being in your mother's womb, I knew you. Before a single word left your lips, I understood it fully. Every crease of your soul, whether lovely or scarred, has been seen and completely loved by me. And it is because of that love that I keep calling you back. Not to a religion, a system, or a ritual, but back to your sacred identity. I call you out from behind the masks you've worn too long. I call you out from the places where your soul has withered. I call you into a place where you are not merely surviving, but truly living. And yet, this return cannot be forced. It must be a choice. That is why you feel as though you are standing at a crossroads of the soul. On one side lies the familiar, the safe, yet lifeless path. On the other, à distant qu'à l'incertain, unfamiliar, but pulsing with life. And you must decide, will you remain in what is old, or will you courageously step into the new, into what you have never known, but where the one who knows all things is already waiting? The truth is, no renewal happens without surrender. No true life can rise if you keep holding on to what is silently killing you inside. It might be a toxic relationship, a distorted self-image, an unforgiven past, or even a hidden disappointment with God Himself. Whatever it is, you are now being invited to let go, not because He wants to take from you, but because He longs to give you something better. Do not let your identity be distorted by the voices of the world. Do not allow your worth to be shaped by past failures. What others say about you is not the truth. The labels life has tried to stick on you, too weak, not enough, beyond repair, are all lies. For you were created in the image of the Infinite One. You carry within you the breath of heaven. You are a legacy, un heir, a living reflection of an eternal purpose. And that purpose is not lost just because you stumbled. The calling is not revoked simply because you strayed. On the contrary, it is in the wounds, in the tears, even in the moments when you feel utterly powerless, that divine grace begins to write the next chapter. Because grace does not demand perfection, it only asks for a humble and willing heart. My child, you may feel weary. Your soul may have grown so accustomed to disappointment that you've stopped daring to dream. But listen, do not heed the whisper of despair. For I tell you the truth, your soul has never been abandoned, even in the darkest night. When your prayers feel like echoes lost in the void, there is one who is still listening. Even when you feel unworthy, his love remains unchanged. That love is not based on performance. It does not shift with your emotions. It does not withdraw when you are weak. It is an unchanging loved one that once stretched out its arms on the cross to bear every burden you carry. And today, that love is still waiting for you, not at the summit of perfection, but right where you are, in the reality of your present moment. Not a single tear you have ever shed has been forgotten. Not a single sigh has been wasted. Every one of them is recorded in the book of heaven, a book where each chapter is a testimony that God has never given up on you, even in moments when you wanted to give up on yourself. So rise up, not because you are strong, but because I am the one upholding you. Move forward, not because you see the future clearly, but because I am guiding your every step. Pray again, hope again, trust again. For right now, in this very moment as you hear these words, heaven is opening a new season for your soul. My child, this new season will no longer be ruled by the past. It will be a season where faith is restored, joy returns, and promises are fulfilled. But to step into that season, you must do one thing: open your heart. Open it beyond the doubts. Open it beyond the wounds. Open it beyond the fear of being disappointed again. And in that opening, you will hear my voice with your ears. But with your soul, I love you. I have never left. I am still waiting. And I have a plan beyond anything you could imagine. Beloved, no one enters the spiritual land without carrying scars. But those very scars, when placed in the hands of the healer, become the most radiant places of glory. So do not hide the pain. Do not deny the fear. Bring it all before me, no masks. No performance, just you. As you are. That is the beginning of every true transformation. You are not called to become a revised version of yourself, but to be completely remade, not by your own strength, but by the supernatural work of the eternal. Don't try to fix yourself in isolation. Open your heart and allow the Holy Presence to do what you cannot. Because true transformation does not come from striving, but from surrender, not from control, but from yielding. And when you release your grip on everything you've tried to hold together, you will find a greater hand waiting to hold you. Divine love does not require you to become better before it welcomes you. It comes to make you new. It does not wait for your perfection. It begins right at the point of your brokenness. This love does not ask, "Are you worthy enough?" but instead, "Are you willing to trust me?" And if your answer is yes, even whispered silently in the depths of your heart, then in that very moment, all of heaven will begin to move. My beloved child, there is a truth every soul must eventually confront. No one can step into their divine destiny without first letting go of what once felt safe. Greatness is not born from comfort. but from the willingness to release what is familiar and to venture into new territory where no old map can guide. And only faith can lead the way. You may have taken many turns in life, but perhaps you have never truly embarked on the journey your soul was destined for, because you've been waiting for a clear sign, for a thunderous voice. But, dear one, the most sacred things rarely arrive in a whirlwind or blazing fire. They come in a gentle whisper, heard only by those who have quieted their inner world enough to listen. You've tried many paths. Perhaps you've believed in your own strength, relied on your understanding, or hoped that time would eventually make things better. But the soul is not healed by time. It is only healed by the touch of the divine. And if you still feel empty, though you have everything, if your heart still weeps beneath the sound of laughter, then that is the sign you are living beneath the true potential of your soul. There is a voice calling, not from outside, but from the deepest places within you, a voice inviting you to come home, not to a place, but to a position of being loved, being chosen, and being sent. Every person is born carrying a promise from heaven, but that promise only begins to unfold when you stop chasing fleeting things and start listening to the voice within. The call from above is unlike any invitation the world gives. It is not as dazzling as worldly glory, not as loud as human praise, but it is steady, deep, and enduring. When you respond, everything within you begins to shift, not because your circumstances have changed, but because you are being changed from the inside out. Child, faith does not require certainty about the path, it requires certainty about the one who calls. Abraham was not told his destination, yet he walked forward because he knew who had spoken. And so do you. You don't need to understand everything. You don't need to see every door opened. You only need to know that you do not walk alone. You only need to know that every obedient step unveils another piece of the destiny that was written for you long before you could imagine it. What you leave behind will never compare to what lies ahead. But you must choose. No one can choose for you. No prayer, no sermon can replace the decision that must be made within you. And no one can step into the promised land on your behalf. You must step forward courageously, trusting even when your emotions are still wrestling with doubt. True faith does not wait for feelings to align. It acts first. And when you move, emotions will follow. Remember the times when you felt like you were falling, when everything collapsed, when there was nothing left to hold on to. Even then, you were kept, not because you were strong enough, but because there is one who never let go of your hand. If he held you through the darkest nights, would he not also lead you into a brighter day? If he rescued you from the deepest pits of the past, would he not also bring you to the heights he destined for you? All he needs is a willing heart. Not perfection, but surrender. Not performance, but trust. And if you are hearing this word now, it is not by chance. Your soul is being summoned to a higher level. A new season is unfolding. A pathway is beginning to glow. But it can only be seen when you stop looking with natural eyes and begin to see through the eyes of faith. Not everyone hears the spiritual call at the same time. But when it comes, no soul can pretend it never knew. It is not some foreign feeling from the outside, but an inner awakening as if a forgotten part of you suddenly remembers something ancient and sacred. In that moment, all distractions lose their power, and only one truth becomes clear, that you were not born to repeat the old cycles of life. but to step into eternal renewal. You may ask, how do I know this is real? How can I be sure that this calling is not just a fleeting emotion, but my child? You know it is real because it does not come to comfort you, it comes to stir you. It does not come to reinforce your safe zone, it comes to break the walls you built around your soul. It is that unexplainable pull, that deep trembling within you, that is the evidence. For no lie can still the soul without costing something. But this invitation, it asks for your surrender, and in return, offers you a completely new life. My child, throughout history, there have always been those who heard the divine call and responded with their whole heart. Moses left the pasture to become a deliverer. Esther risked her life for her people. Paul went from persecutor to messenger of light. They did not wait for everything to be in place before stepping forward. They stepped forward, and then everything began to shift. For power never falls before obedience. The extraordinary does not come because you are capable, but because you are willing to entrust all control to the one who is calling. And now, this is no longer reserved only for those in the scriptures. That same call is now resounding for you. Something greater is being sown into your heart. A plan far beyond human understanding is waiting for your yes. But like those who came before you, you too must make a decision, not a hesitant. Halfway consent, but a decisive choice. Either you step in or you stay behind. No one else can carry your soul into glory on your behalf. That is a part only you can fulfill. You may be thinking about your weaknesses, your limitations, the things that make you feel unready, but no one is ever truly ready when the call comes. Abraham was old. Jeremiah was young. Gideon was full of doubt. David was just a shepherd. But what did they have in common? They did not walk in their own strength. They allowed the one who called them to act through them. And as a result, history itself was changed. You don't need a grand title to begin. You don't need to understand everything. The only thing you need is an open heart. And then, the Spirit Himself will do the rest. He will teach you, guide you, correct you, and use you not because you are worthy, but because you are loved. Not because you are capable, but because He is faithful. He Himself will make you enough. If you keep waiting until everything is perfect, you will wait forever. For faith does not grow in perfect conditions, but in uncertain ones. It is in the darkness that you begin to learn how to walk toward the light. It is in the desert that you realize your need for living water. And it is when everyone else has left that you will encounter the one who has never abandoned you. My child, you are being called into a deeper place where you can no longer live by old rituals or borrowed beliefs. You can no longer rely on the faith of your parents, your friends, or your community. It is time for you to have your own relationship with the living one. It is time to learn how to listen, not just with your ears, but with your soul. For in every soul that has ever been created, there is a space that only divine presence can fill. My beloved child, every soul is created not merely to exist, but to resonate with a unique frequency, the frequency of a sacred mission sown by the Creator before the foundations of the world. And when you begin to step into that journey, all of heaven and earth will respond. For divine destiny is not just a personal path, but a meeting point between humanity and the heavenly, between time and eternity, between the quiet inner call and the plan that is unfolding in the heights of heaven. You do not walk alone. Every step you take echoes in heaven. Know this, before you are sent. You must be broken before you are used. You must be touched. No one can bring light to the world unless they themselves have first been illuminated from within. And that light does not come from book knowledge, nor from position or ability. It comes only when the soul is crushed before the presence of the Holy One, where there is nothing left to boast of, where all that remains is a heart broken and contrite. It is in that place that you begin to hear what you've never heard, see what your eyes have never seen, and perceive what the world could never offer. Remember Moses. He lived among palaces and power, yet had to be led into the wilderness for 40 years to learn how to hear the voice that spoke from the burning bush. During those silent years, he thought he had been forgotten, but in the place where no one saw him, heaven was preparing him. And when the appointed time came, one word was enough to set an entire nation free. Do you see? Nothing in that journey was wasted. Every year, every trial, every disappointment was part of the refining fire that prepared his soul to carry a glory that does not fade. And now, you too are in that process. You may not see anything moving. Everything inside you might be crying out in confusion, in pain, in uncertainty. But child, that is the very sign that something deep is being formed. A seed must break in the dark before it ever rises toward the light. No one sees it. No one notices, but heaven records every inch of its growth. And when the time is right, it will break through, not because it is strong enough, but because it remains steadfast in the hidden place. You may be walking through a dry season, where your prayers seem to vanish into the void. You may carry questions without answers, dreams yet to be fulfilled, desires long delayed without reason. Yet it is in moments like these that you are taught how to trust without visible outcomes. True faith does not hinge on what is happening around you, but on an inner decision that says, even though I don't see, I still believe. Even though I don't understand, I still obey. Even though I feel nothing, I will keep walking. And that kind of faith is what moves heaven. It was this unconditional trust that lifted Joseph out of the prison, that caused David to be anointed among his brothers, that moved Mary to say, "Let it be to me according to your word." It is faith that sees no way forward yet still believes, that makes room for the miraculous. And if you are still walking, still keeping your heart tender before the Holy One, then you are already carrying within you the essence of a spiritual warrior own who is not defined by circumstances, but by a divine calling that transcends all that is seen. My beloved, when a person steps into a journey appointed by heaven, they do not bear only their personal weight, they carry with them generations waiting on their obedience. The surrender of one can open doors for all who come after. Just as Noah built the ark not only for himself, but for a generation that would be saved, just as Abraham went out not knowing where he was going, and from that single step, a nation was born. What you carry within you, even if still unformed, has the power to shake the heavens and alter the destinies of many other souls. Therefore, do not underestimate the voice within you that is calling. It is not imagination, not weakness, but a reminder from a higher spiritual reality, waiting for your response. Every time you choose to keep your heart tender, every time you pause to listen to the whisper in the silence, you are pushing back the darkness one step further. Obedience may not echo loudly in this world, but it shakes the gates of heaven, and every small act of surrender is recorded not with ink, but with the light of eternity. Have you ever paused and asked yourself, what if I don't respond? What if I continue living as before, trying to control everything, clinging to the familiar instead of yielding to the unseen hand? Perhaps you would still live, still breathe, still go about your daily tasks. But inside, something would begin to dry up, a quiet longing that nothing in this world could satisfy, a sense that you were made for something greater and that you've missed it. There is nothing more tragic than a soul that once heard the call but never answered. Nothing more sorrowful than a life offered grace, yet choosing comfort over transformation. The world does not need more people merely existing. It needs those who live with divine purpose, ignited by a flame from heaven that cannot be extinguished by circumstance or trial. And for this reason, Etha, one speaking to you, am not calling you to a place of ease, but to a place of depth. I am not inviting you to a simple journey, but to a great one, where every step is guided by the Holy Spirit. I do not promise that you will never be wounded, but I promise that your wounds will not be in vain. I do not guarantee you will understand everything, but I guarantee that every detail, no matter how small, is held in my hand and woven into a perfect plan. So do not be afraid. Do not let the voice of doubt drown out the call of faith. Do not let your past choke out the future I have prepared for you. Even if you have failed, strayed, doubted, or wandered far, today, there is still time to return. There is still a chance to say, Lord, here I am. And that simple phrase, when spoken from a sincere heart, is enough to shake the heavens. Look at yourself again, not through the eyes clouded by weariness, comparison, or shame, but through the eyes of the one who formed you from the dust, the one who has never acted randomly, and has never called anyone without purpose. Remember, you are not a product of your circumstances, nor the result of past mistakes, but a part of a divine manuscript written before the foundations of the world were laid. Your name is written upon my hand, and no power on earth or below can erase what I have spoken over you. So do not measure yourself by what you see today. Do not let the past imprison you in a cell whose door I unlocked long ago. Do not allow your present circumstances to make you doubt my ability to work through your life. My child, there are things within you that even you have not yet discovered, sacred seeds of life, hidden treasures, living waters waiting to be released. But for these things to rise, you must allow me to reach deeper, beyond the layers of defense you have built around your heart. I know you have been wounded by others, by yourself, even by the feeling that I was silent. You once pleaded for a miracle, and in the waiting, you felt shattered by the delay. But I say this to you, not one of your tears has been wasted. Every pain you have endured, if surrendered to me, becomes a powerful instrument in my hands. Just as the wounds on Jesus' body were not merely marks of suffering, but gateways for grace to pour forth, so too will your wounds healed by me become wells of life for others. You cannot lead anyone out of darkness if you have never known what darkness is. You cannot comfort those who mourn if you yourself have never tasted loss. That is why I do not remove you from the trials, but walk with you through them. I do not create a path without suffering, but I shape a person who will not be crushed in the midst of suffering. You will not be destroyed if you remain in me. When you grasp this truth, you will begin to live no longer dictated by what is seen, You will no longer be swayed by fleeting voices, temporary allurements, or un refund désir. Instead, you will live as one who carries light, not a light of your own making, but a reflection of my presence within you. And that light will guide the lost, heal the broken, and awaken souls asleep in the fog of this world. But for that to become reality, you must choose. You must choose each day between the noise of the world and the whisper of my voice, between the ease of the old way and the invitation into the new, between the fear of the unknown and the trust in an eternal plan. No one can choose for you. No angel. No intercessory prayer. No miracle can force your soul to surrender. That is the sacred freedom I have given you. And the one thing I await from you, my child. There is something miraculous that happens when your soul stops struggling for control and begins to flow with the current of grace. When you cease forcing everything to align with your own will and begin to trust that my plan is not only greater, but far more good. In that surrender, you do not lose freedom, you find a deeper one. Not freedom to do as you please, but freedom from the chains you never knew you carried. I know you have tried to live a righteous life by your own strength. You have vowed not to fail again. Set strict rules for yourself and strive to stay pure. But child, in self-righteousness, you are most prone to either pride or despair. When you succeed, you may believe you no longer need me. When you fail, you hide from me in shame. But do you not know, I never called you to become perfect by your own might. I called you to remain in me, and it is I who will make you holy. My beloved child, there is a relief that comes when you stop trying to play the role of the Redeemer. When you let go of the obsession that you must atone for yourself, prove your worth, or earn something. You do not need to do anything more to be loved by me, because that love is already complete. You do not need to pray for a set number of hours or do enough good deeds to make me pleased, because my joy is not found in your achievements, but in a heart that trusts and longs for me. I did not come to place another burden on your shoulders, but to lift the burden off of you. As I myself have said, come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Matthew 11, Isarim v'shmona. You do not need to understand every part of the plan. You only need one thing, to stay close to me, because it is in that closeness that everything else will be added: understanding, healing, teaching, and the strength to fulfill your calling. Remember, you must dare to be honest with me, not just in your prayers, but in every moment, every thought, every doubt. Do not be afraid to bring me the unpolished parts of you, your anger, your weariness, your unhealed wounds. I am not offended by your honesty. What grieves me is when you pretend you do not need me. You do not need to come to me as someone perfect. You just need to come as someone real. Healing cannot begin where you are pretending. It begins where you are willing to take off the mask and say, Lord, here I am broken, weary, and empty. And in that very moment, you will see that I do not withdraw. I will not be shocked, nor disappointed. I will draw nearer. I will sit with you in the valley, and I will begin to rebuild you not with criticism, but with unshakable love. My child, when I begin to heal you, I do not merely patch up the surface tears. I go deeper to the very places where the first wounds were formed, to the roots of your pain, where someone's words from long ago still echo, where unspoken memories still make you sigh in silence. I do not come to cover up the wound with shallow comfort, but to pull out each arrow from your heart carefully, patiently, and with the deepest love. Perhaps in the past, you learned how to endure. You learned how to smile when you wanted to cry, to stay silent when you needed to be understood, to appear strong when you were falling apart inside. But my child, I did not create you just to survive. I created you to live fully, freely, and safely in the shelter of my arms. And the healing I bring is not just to help you feel better, but to renew you from the roots, to reconstruct you with a new purpose, stronger, deeper, and more radiant than ever before. You may have grown used to protecting yourself, used to building walls around your heart to avoid being hurt again. But listen to me, no one can be fully healed while still trying to defend themselves. Your defenses might shield you from momentary pain, but they also unintentionally keep me out. I do not force my way through doors you do not invite me into. But if you open that door, even just a small crack, I will come in with all the gentleness of a father, with all the wisdom of a creator, and with all the persistence of the one who never gives up. Top of form, bottom of form. Do you know? Healing is not always a miracle that happens in the blink of an eye. Sometimes, it is a journey walked day by day, as old layers are peeled away, as lies are exposed one by one, and as false beliefs are replaced by truth. And throughout that journey, I do not grow weary. No matter how many times you stumble, I am there, reaching out my hand and saying, "Get up. I still believe in you. You are not your failures. You are one being transformed, little by little, into the image of the Holy One. And you will see those very places that once caused you the most pain will become the places where my greatest strength is revealed. I will use your tears to water seeds of life in the souls of others. I will use your story, not the polished version, but the real one, scarred and bleeding, to reach hearts that no sermon could ever touch. For it is in weakness laid bare that I reveal my glory." As Paul said, "Therefore I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses, so that Christ's power may rest on me." 2 Corinthians 12-9. So do not be ashamed of your past. Do not hide the things that once brought you to your knees. When you give them to me, they cease to be burdens, they become legacy. And you will rise, not as one merely healed, but as one marked by restoration, a living testimony of my power, a sharp instrument in my hand to build, to heal, and to awaken a generation that is starving for truth. My child, after healing has begun and the wounds have been gently soothed by my loving hands, it is time to rise. Yes, not just to say thank you, not just to enjoy the peace, but to act, because true healing always leads to commissioning. Once you've been touched by me, you cannot remain the same. The life of heaven has started flowing within you, and now you are called to be a conduit for that life. Do not think you are not ready. Do not wait until everything is perfect before you begin to move. Perfection is not the requirement for me to use. Your willingness is what I seek. In Scripture, I used a forgotten shepherd boy to defeat a giant. I used a man with faltering speech, Moses, to be my messenger and deliver my people. I used a woman with a broken past, Mary Magdalene, to be the first to proclaim the resurrection. Do you think I cannot use you? When I look at your heart, trembling as it may be, uncertain as it still feels, I see good soil, soil that has been broken up by suffering, watered with tears, and now made ready to receive the seed of heaven. That seed is the very mission destined for you before the world was ever formed. A mission no one else can fulfill. A calling etched deep into your soul. And nothing in this world will satisfy you until you begin to live it. I am making a way in the wilderness. I am causing rivers to flow in the dry places. But you must walk. Yes, walk by faith, not by certainty. Because if you wait until everything is clear, you will never begin. Every spiritual journey begins with a trembling step, but it is led by one who never changes. Do not fear if no one walks beside you at first. I once called Abraham to leave his homeland without telling him where he was going. I once called Peter to step out of the boat into the dark. And I am calling you now not to follow safety, but to follow the voice that echoes from eternity. Do not measure your potential through human eyes. What I have placed in you cannot be weighed by fame, degrees, or the approval of others. I did not call you to be applauded. I called you to shake the spiritual realms, to break the chains of the enemy, to awaken sleeping souls, and to proclaim a living gospel with your very life. Every act of obedience is an arrow piercing the darkness. Every sincere word, every loving embrace, every tear shed in intercession is remembered in heaven. Do not underestimate your influence. You cannot yet see the full ripples flowing out from today's small acts of faithfulness. Even a whispered prayer can shatter a generational stronghold. A simple act of obedience can unlock an entire stream of revival. Do not wait for a grand stage. I am calling you to shine right where you stand, whether it be at work, within your family, or in the broken corners of your community. I do not measure success by numbers, but by obedience. And here is a truth you must remember. When you walk in your calling, there will be opposition. But do not let the opposition cause you to doubt the call. Every path that carries the power to transform must pass through its own Golgotha. Convenience is not the sign of my blessing. Faith in the midst of trial is what moves heaven. And I promise you this, I will go before you. I will cover you. I will provide, protect, instruct, and supply everything needed, not early, not late, but always on time, always in the way of heaven. My child, once you receive the mission, the journey does not stop at movement. It requires preparation. Yes, I did not call you to walk empty-handed and trembling. I desire to equip you, not with carnal weapons, but with spiritual ones, for the battle you face is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers of darkness, the unseen forces at work in the spiritual realm. Hear this clearly. Spiritual preparation does not happen in the public square, but in the secret place. It is in the unseen moments on your knees, in the quiet tears, in the prayers too deep for words. That is when I am forging you. You cannot carry victory onto the battlefield unless it has first been formed in the hidden room. Remember what I spoke in Matthew 6:6. But when you pray, go into your room, close the door, and pray to your Father, who is unseen. Then your Father, who sees what is done in secret, will reward you. Ember, it is in that secret place that I clothe you with spiritual armor, righteousness as your breastplate, faith as your shield, to extinguish every flaming arrow of the enemy. My word is a sword sharper than any two-edged blade, dividing soul and spirit. But these weapons are not mere symbols to wear. They must be practiced, understood, and wielded. And that only happens when you spend time in my word, in worship, and in stillness before me, to hear my whispered voice. My beloved child, do not think the enemy will sit idly by as you begin your journey. He has studied you long, knows the cracks in your soul, the wounds not yet healed, the emotions most easily manipulated. He does not fear talent that trembles before those forged in my presence. For when you stand in me, you are no longer just human. You are a warrior of the kingdom of light, cloaked in the glory of the Eternal One. Do not let your peace be stolen by the whispers of doubt. Do not let your courage be strangled by hesitation. Every time you choose to trust me over the voice of fear, you drive another nail through the grip of darkness. Every time you praise me in the night, you switch on a light in the marshes. This preparation is not only for your protection, but for the deliverance of others. You are being equipped, not merely to survive, but to lead an army out of the prisons of sin and sorrow. I know there will be times when you feel weary, and moments when it seems like you're fighting alone. But remember this, you are never alone. There is a heavenly host surrounding you. Angels who have been sent to support you, guide you, and protect you. And above all, I, the King of Kings, am right beside you. I am not only the one who sends you, but also the one who walks with you every step of the way. My beloved, now that you understand the nature of the battle and how to be equipped, I want you to grasp a crucial truth. You are not merely on the defensive in this war, you are called to advance. I did not create you just to survive defeat, but to demolish the strongholds of hell with the light of truth. You were not made to tremble in fear, but to trample snakes and scorpions, and to reclaim what darkness has stolen. Do not let humility be distorted into self-doubt. When I call you a warrior, that identity does not depend on how you feel today or the times you've stumbled in the past. It depends on the blood I shed for you, and the name I've placed upon your forehead. You bear my mark not for boasting, but to remind yourself that you are chosen, anointed, and sent. So walk with confidence, not confidence in yourself, but faith in me, the one who never fails. When you pray, pray as one with authority. When you praise, praise as one who shakes heaven and earth. When you step into your workplace, your family, or any environment, remember that you carry the kingdom. Your presence is not insignificant. Because the Eternal One dwells within you, it is time for you to stop living like one who flees and start living like one who conquers. The dreams you thought had died, I can resurrect them. The relationships you thought were broken, I can heal them. The wounds you've kept hidden for so long, I can touch them. Not to expose, but to restore. But to experience that power, you must step out of your comfort zone. You must dare to believe that I can still do wonders, even from the ashes. Remember Joseph. From the bottom of a pit to the depths of a prison, and then to the place of rulership, not because he was wiser than others, but because he refused to let adversity choke his faith. Or David, a forgotten shepherd boy, who defeated Goliath with nothing but a stone and unshakable trust. What I did through them, I can do through you if you are willing to trust me more than your circumstances, and obey. even when you see nothing ahead. Because walking by faith doesn't always mean you feel strong. Sometimes, walking by faith simply means not giving up. It means rising after a fall. It means continuing to praise when your prayers seem unanswered. It means keeping your heart pure when you are misunderstood. It means choosing forgiveness when you have every right to retaliate. These things, though unseen, are mighty victories in the spiritual realm. My dear child, I know there are days when you feel like a flickering candle in the midst of a storm. But remember this, even the smallest flame, when held in my hand, is enough to light up a dark room. Do not underestimate the power of daily faithfulness. A kind word, a loving act, a right decision made in the dark. Each one is a shaft of light piercing through spiritual night, and none of them is ever wasted. Take heart. Know that in every step you take, in every battle you face, in every silent tear you shed, there is one who records it all. One day, when the veil of time is lifted, you will see that the seemingly smallest moments were actually the foundation stones of my kingdom being built in your life. And on that day, you will hear my voice say, "Well done, good and faithful servant. Enter into the joy of your Lord." End footnote. Beloved, you have wondered, why was I called? Why me? Among millions of souls? I have heard that quiet question rising from within, not out of doubt, but from a deep longing to understand the purpose of your life. And now I have come to reveal this to you. You were chosen not because you were the strongest, or the most gifted, or the wisest, but because you are the one I love, the one who dared to say, "Here I am, Lord." Ugh. You thought the calling began when your name was mentioned in gatherings, or when you were given a task to fulfill. But no, my child, your calling was established long before your first cry was ever heard. In Ephesians chapter 1, I declared, "He chose us in Christ before the foundation of the world, to be holy and blameless in His sight." You were not chosen by chance, but by eternal design before you ever knew me. I saw you woven into the tapestry of history, placed as a vital thread in the grand design of heaven. Imagine a great symphony, where each note has its distinct and necessary place. If even one note is out of place, the harmony is disrupted. Your life is one of those notes, and no one but you can sound its pitch exactly as it was meant to be. Even if you deny it or try to run from it, the melody continues to echo in your soul, drawing you back to the place you were created to fill. Every time you feel lost or empty, it is often the moment that sacred calling is resounding loudest within you. Your mission does not begin when you step onto the battlefield. It begins the moment you say, "I am willing." That is when heaven moves. That is when the angels mark it. A soul has awakened. A child has risen to receive the crown, set aside by the Creator. But this mission is not a paved road. It is not lined with human applause, but with surrender step by step following my light, even when you cannot yet see the way ahead. My beloved, you do not need to go far to begin. The call does not have to arrive through grand gates or famous platforms. It can begin in a quiet room, where you kneel to pray. It can unfold when you offer forgiveness to the one who hurt you. It can shine when you silently choose what is right in a world that has lost its way. Do not wait for a dramatic sign to believe you are being used, for it is in the moment you are faithful with the little that I am laying the foundation for something greater. Do not think the mission belongs only to the ordained. No, I am searching for willing hearts, those who do not need to see in order to believe, but who dare to believe and then they will see. Those who choose to live lives not conformed to the world, even when it costs them misunderstanding, isolation, or the scorn of others. Are you willing to walk with me even when no one claps? Are you willing to be empty on the outside so that you might be full on the inside? If you say yes, then know this: my child, heaven is listening, and from that very moment, your destiny begins to shift. Angels are no longer sent merely to watch over you, but to assist you. Doors begin to open not for your glory, but so that I may be revealed through you. And my power, no longer just words on a page, will become the living breath that moves within you every single day. My child, listen closely to what I am about to say. When a person says yes to the divine call, they no longer walk as an ordinary soul in the world. From that moment on, you carry not only the presence of the Eternal One, but also the weight of a destiny woven before the foundations of time. When you nod in agreement, all of heaven stirs, and though the world may not recognize what has changed, in the spirit realm, everything begins to tremble. I have not called you only to abandon you on the battlefield. I have not led you into the night to leave you groping for a way out. Every step you take, I have walked before you. Every trap along the path has been surveyed by angelic hosts. Every moment of your weariness, intercession has already risen from the holy place. You are not alone, and you will never be left behind. For I, the one who called you, am also the one who will finish the work I began in you. But you must understand this: the enemy also hears your yes, and he trembles, because an awakened soul is a threat to the very foundation of the kingdom of darkness. Therefore, new temptations will come, waves of trial that may seem unreasonable, battles that strike at inconvenient times. But do not let these things shake you. Do not assume you are off course just because hardship comes. On the contrary, it is because you are on the right path that missiles from hell have been launched. I want you to know that you are standing at the very heart of an invisible war zone, where light and darkness contend for every inch of ground that belongs to you. And it is in that very place that you must hold your allegiance in your own strength, but in total reliance upon me. Clothe yourself with spiritual armor, not just in moments of crisis, but every day, every hour, every heartbeat. Your sword is my word. When you declare truth, the spirit realm listens. When you reject the lies of the enemy, heaven applauds. When you choose love over resentment, the angels are strengthened. Never underestimate the power of a fully surrendered soul. Even if you never stand on a grand stage, even if no one knows your name, if you remain faithful, I can shake cities through your prayers. A whispered plea in the secret place, a cry uttered from a surrendered heart can break chains that have bound generations. Oh, my child, you think you are merely ordinary, but in my eyes, you are a pillar in an age that is being shaken. I have positioned you where you stand, not because you are perfect, but because I trust what I have placed within you. You carry not only gifts, but a vital piece of my divine design for the earth. So do not compare your journey to another's. Every soul walks a unique path, a way carved with precision. The enemy loves to make you look around so you begin to doubt yourself. But keep your eyes on me, the author and finisher of your faith. If I have called you, I will provide. If I have sent you, I will fight for you. And if you are weak, I will be strong within you. So do not be surprised when the doors you once hoped for do not open. I am closing the things that only serve to distract you, in order to draw you deeper into communion with me. Do not resent it when you find yourself set apart. Consecration is the groundwork for anointing. Those whom I use most powerfully often endure the driest seasons not as punishment, but as refinement, just as gold must pass through fire to shine, and fine wine must age in darkness. So too are you being prepared quietly, yet firmly, and when the time comes, I will bring into the light what I have done in the hidden place, not for your glory, but so that all nations may know that I am still God, the one who chooses the weak to shame the strong, who uses what is considered nothing to nullify what is esteemed by the world. My child, do not think your obedience in the secret place is insignificant. On the contrary, every time you choose to submit to me when no one is watching, a battleground in the spiritual realm is being reclaimed. You may not see it, but I do, and it is those quiet choices that are writing a glorious story you could not have imagined. Do you know that the tears you've shed in solitude are becoming a fragrance rising to my throne? The whispered sobs in the night have reached my heart more deeply than the songs sung in grand sanctuaries. As you continue to walk, you may not see the reward right away. There may be days when you doubt, asking, am I really on the right path? Am I wasting the best years of my life on something unseen? But remember, in the book of Hebrews, I recorded those who by faith acted in righteousness, shut the mouths of lions, endured torture without accepting deliverance, that they might obtain a better resurrection. They did not live for the spotlight, but to please the one who called them. And now, they surround you like a great cloud of witnesses, urging you to run your race with endurance. You may think the calling is something grand and external, but I am teaching you that it begins within. Before you can lead others, I am calling you to let me lead you. Before you proclaim my word, let my word pierce your marrow. Before you stand before crowds, learn to stand firm with me in solitude. Do not fear loneliness, for it is in the wilderness that I train my faithful servants. Moses was there. Elijah was there. Even my beloved son, Jesus, was there for 40 days before stepping into ministry. You are not lost. You are being shaped. You may not realize it, but every failure, every stumble, is not outside my plan. No, I do not cause you to fall, but I use what you think is your weakness to reveal my strength. My child, you do not need to be flawless to be used by me. You only need to be honest. Bring your brokenness before me. I am not seeking vessels without cracks. I seek vessels willing to be filled, and those very cracks will be the places where my light pours out the strongest. Stop worrying about how others perceive you. Do not let the praise or criticism of people define your worth. I have sealed you with my Holy Spirit, and no earthly opinion can undo what I have declared. Walk as one who is sealed. Pray as one who is chosen. Live as one who knows their destiny is not of this earth, but written in the book of life in heaven. And the time will come when I will cause your name to be spoken in places you've never stepped foot in, not to make you famous, but so that my name may be glorified. You will see doors open, not by your striving, but by my hand. Relationships will be orchestrated. Resources will be transferred, and opportunities will appear seemingly out of nowhere, but they are not random. They are the result of divine arrangement. You need only be faithful in the small things, and I will entrust you with much. And when you enter the season of commissioning, you will no longer tremble as you once did. For now you do not speak from your own understanding, but from the revelation I have given you. You do not act to please people, but to honor the one who has chosen you. You will enter boardrooms, stand on stages, engage in critical conversations, and carry the fragrance of heaven, not because you are skilled, but because I am with you. The words you speak will carry weight. The actions you take will leave an eternal imprint. The steps you walk will break invisible chains in the lives of others. You will not need to shout to be heard, for my presence within you will cause others to pause. You will not need to prove your worth, for my presence in you is the evidence that you are sent wherever you set your feet. Spiritual forces will retreat, because light has now entered that place. And when people look at you, they will not merely see you, they will see me through you. My child, when the time I have appointed arrives, no force can delay the move of my hand upon your life. The doors that were once shut will swing open, not because you pushed harder, but because I have declared, your hour has come, when I choose to send, even if you feel unready. All of heaven has already prepared what you need. When I call someone, I do not wait for them to become perfect before I use them. I turn their very obedience into the path of maturity. Do you know that now you no longer walk as one alone? From the moment you answered my call, the entire spiritual realm began to move around you. Angels have been assigned to guard each of your steps. The spiritual barriers that once hindered you have been shattered, and the forces of darkness that once whispered of your weakness now tremble, because my name is called upon your life, not because you are strong, but because my name is a mighty fortress, a place of refuge, and the royal inheritance you now carry in the Spirit. My beloved, I want you to understand this. When you walk in your calling, you do not represent yourself, but become a messenger bearing the authority of heaven. You no longer speak with the voice of a fragile soul, but with the authority of one anointed by my Spirit. Do not fear the eyes of men. Do not be shaken by criticism or opposition. When you stand in my name, no weapon formed against you will prosper. The enemy may roar, but he cannot touch your soul, for you are walking within my divine covering. I know there will be moments when you tremble under the weight, days when you ask, Lord, am I enough? But it is in those very moments that you will discover my grace is sufficient for you. It is in weakness that my power is made perfect. You were not called to rely on your own ability, but to learn how to live by the supernatural provision from me. Just as I fed the Israelites with manna daily in the wilderness, so will I give you every word, every opportunity, every helping hand on time, and in full. Do not measure your journey by fleeting emotions. Sometimes the sky remains gray, but that does not mean the sun has not risen. There will be days when my presence burns within you, like fire in your bones. Yet there will also be moments when my silence causes your soul to ache. Do not let the silence make you retreat. Remember this: sacred seeds do not sprout in noise, but in stillness. Do not assume I have forgotten you when I am quiet. It is precisely in those moments that I am weaving wonders in the dark, wonders that will be revealed in the light on the day I have appointed. My child, Your calling is not reserved for grand celebrations or significant events. It is alive in the ordinary moments, when you comfort someone in sorrow, when you speak a word of encouragement, when you remain faithful in small things, unnoticed by others. Do not dismiss these humble acts, for heaven does not measure by the size of the deed, but by the breadth of the heart. A cup of water given in my name holds greater worth than grand displays devoid of love. You do not need to be like anyone else. In the body of Christ, every member has a distinct role. Do not compare yourself with others. They are called to one assignment. You are anointed for a unique path. If you chase after someone else's footsteps, you will miss the road I have fashioned for you. Remember, David could not wear Saul's armor to fight. Goliath, it didn't fit him. And neither will the armor of another fit you. You are designed to carry a weapon crafted specifically for you, perfectly suited to the mission I have entrusted to you. Therefore, do not be disheartened when you do not look like anyone else. Do not be discouraged when the way I lead you differs from those who came before. You were not made to repeat a pattern. You were made to pioneer a new way. You are a forerunner of something fresh. And just as Abraham journeyed to a land he had never known simply because he heard my voice, you too are called to walk by faith, not by sight, but by complete obedience to my word. And so, when you courageously step forward in response to my voice, you become part of something far greater than yourself. You are not walking merely for your own sake. Every step you take, every word you speak, every decision you make in obedience contributes to the heavenly map I am drawing through your life. There are souls that can only be reached through you. There are those who will only see the light because you reflect it. There are gates that will only open when you faithfully knock. Do not underestimate your place in the kingdom of heaven. For what I have given you is unique, irreplaceable. My child, I have already prepared everything you need for the journey. Prophetic words have been sown into the atmosphere and will bloom as you partner with me. The dreams you once thought were your own were in fact divine whispers I placed in your heart to show you that I have a greater plan and you are a vital part of it. When you say yes to me, you release a wave of influence beyond what you can now comprehend. Your obedience does not only impact the present, it echoes into generations to come, just as Abraham's faith did when he believed even without seeing. Remember, I do not look at outward perfection, I search the heart. When you walk by faith, even with trembling steps, I do not rebuke your weakness. I rejoice in your willingness to believe. When you say, I don't know if I can do it, but I will try for you. Lord, the angels in heaven erupt in praise. True courage is not the absence of fear, but obedience in the midst of it. That is faith, and that very faith will move mountains, split seas, and illuminate the darkest corners of the earth. You must also understand this: trials will come, not because I do not love you, but because I am preparing you for greater things. Just as Job, a righteous man, you had to walk through testing so that his faithfulness might shine like refined gold. You too will pass through my furnace, not to be destroyed, but to be purified. Do not fear being misunderstood, opposed, or feeling alone. These are signs that you are walking against the current of the world and in the direction of heaven's wind. And there, you will learn to fight not with fists, but with prayer, not with fleshly strength, but with humility before me. My beloved, never measure yourself by how you feel, but by my truth. You are an anointed warrior. You are a torch in the night. You are a bearer of promise, a messenger of good news, a carrier of light. And though the enemy may roar, I will be your fortress. When you keep your heart free from bitterness, when you choose to forgive rather than retaliate, when you choose silence over striving, it is in those moments that you are laying an unshakable foundation in the spirit realm. I have given you not just strength to endure, but authority to overcome. Every moment you surrender is a step deeper into the land of sanctification. And in that place, I will reveal my glory through you, not that you may be praised, but that others may see me. I will cause your light to break forth like the dawn, and your righteousness to shine like the noonday sun. Just as I spoke through Isaiah, so do not tremble before the darkness. Remember this, I have given you the keys of the kingdom. Whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven. Whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven. When you pray in my name, heaven moves. When you praise in the midnight hour, chains are broken. When you stand firm in truth, every lie will be exposed. And when you love with the love I have placed within you, even the hardest hearts will melt. Now, I am calling you to fully step into the role that was appointed to you since the foundation of the world. Do not look back. Do not doubt yourself. Do not wait for perfect conditions. You have been chosen. You have been called. You have been anointed. And now is the time for you to rise not with hesitation, but with the confidence that I, the Almighty God, go before you, dwell within you, and stand behind you. I am your keeper, and through you, I will do things no eye has ever seen. My child, once you have chosen to walk this path, keep your heart steady, for the flow of heaven does not stop at the doorstep of the hesitant. There are seasons in the spiritual journey that require not only belief, but bold step 7 when your legs tremble. Those who delay, waiting for perfection before acting, will be swept away by the tide of circumstance. But those who obey, even in fear, are the ones I use to shake a generation. Do not seek affirmation from people, for I have already affirmed you with a seal upon your forehead that the world cannot see. Your name is written in the book of life, not for display, but for destiny. When I called you, I did not expect perfection. I expected faithfulness. And faithfulness is not proven in the day of glory, but in the sweat-soaked moments, in doing what is right when no one applauds, in the prayers whispered into seeming silence. I am building within you a kind of faith that is not shaken by emotion, a love that is not altered by circumstance, and a loyalty that does not waver in the face of delay. You must learn to keep going even when the door hasn't opened, even when the outcome remains unclear, even when the promise has yet to be fulfilled. For true faith is not measured by what you see, but by what you continue to believe in the midst of the unseen. When I speak, I do not speak to impress, but to prompt you into action. My word is like a seed. If you only hear it but do not sow it into your heart, if you do not water it with prayer or tend it with obedience, it will not bear fruit. But if you treasure my word as you would a precious jewel, then with every trial, that word will take deeper root and yield even greater fruit. Just as the sower in the scriptures cast seed on good soil, and it bore fruit 30, 60, and 100-fold, you are that good soil. If you do not doubt, do not despise the small days. Do not look down on the seemingly insignificant acts. When you offer a cup of cold water to the thirsty in my name, it is recorded. When you turn away from temptation in a place where no one sees, heaven rejoices. When you lay hands on the sick and pray, my oil flows through you. Nothing is small when done in love and under the guidance of the Holy Spirit. Believe that every act done in my name carries eternal value. My child, do not fear when you face opposition. The enemy only resists what he dreads. If you feel surrounded, it is because you are nearing a breakthrough. If you feel pulled back to old patterns, it is because you are stepping into something new. The enemy does not battle those who pose no threat to his domain. So if the pressure increases, rejoice, for you are drawing near to victory. When you stand at the crossroads between truth and compromise, choose truth, even when the cost seems high. When you are tempted to stay silent when you should speak, remember, I have placed a fire in your mouth. When those you love turn away because you follow my calling, let me comfort you, for whoever lets go of what is not from me will receive what cannot be taken away. I myself will restore you in ways you could never expect. The tears you shed in secret are never forgotten. They are the precious oil in the alabaster jar I hold in my hand. And in due time, I will pour back over you many times more through joy, through healing, through power from on high. You may feel empty today, but oh my child, that is the very sign that you are ready to be filled with something new. Old wineskins cannot contain new wine. You must be broken to be made into a new vessel that will not only hold but overflow into the lives of many. So hold on to your faith. Keep walking forward. Speak life even when your heart feels wounded. Pray even when you feel nothing. Worship even in your darkest hour, for in doing so, you are laying down stone by stone the path that leads to the glory I have prepared for you, my beloved child. Now, I want you to lift your eyes and look toward what is coming, not with the eyes of the flesh, but with the vision of faith. See beyond the visible things, beyond the limits others have drawn around you, and behold yourself through the light of the calling I placed on your life from the very beginning. You were not created to live a fleeting life and vanish into obscurity. You were formed to leave an eternal mark upon the souls of generations. As you begin to live within my calling, you will realize that every word you speak, every action you take, every decision you make becomes like ripples on the surface of a lake, spreading far beyond what you can see. One obedient person can shift the destiny of a lineage. One person in prayer can save an entire city from destruction. Just as Abraham stood between me and Sodom, as Moses interceded for Israel, as Elijah called down fire from heaven, I am looking for one person, just one who is willing to say, "Here I am." Lord, remember, you will never feel ready enough by the world's standards. But in my eyes, you are already enough. Because I do not call the perfect, I call the willing, those ready to be touched and transformed. You may feel like a cracked vessel, but it is through those very cracks that my light will shine. Recall the prophetic words that have been spoken over your life. They were not empty phrases meant to soothe your emotions. They were seeds from heaven, planted in your soul to bear fruit in their due season. But like any seed, they require soil, light, water, and time. You must cultivate your faith, water it with prayer, and guard it from the weeds of doubt. Every time you believe, you water the promise. Every time you wait in silence, You strengthen the roots. Every time you refuse to surrender to discouragement, you bring the fulfillment of the prophecy one step closer. I have placed a fire within you. Do not let it die because the waiting feels long. Do not extinguish it because your dreams have yet to be fulfilled. Even if those around you do not recognize the value you carry. I see it. Do not let the indifference of the world cause you to forget the first longing that drew you to me. What begins with fire must be sustained with oil, the oil of prayer, the oil of worship, the oil of sacrifice. If you keep pouring the oil, the flame will never go out. Live as a torch in the night. Do not fear when you feel different. Light was never made to blend in with darkness. You were called to shine. Do not let fear cause you to lower your spiritual standard. Do not let weariness stop your race. Remember my words in Galatians 6-9, let us not grow weary in doing good. For at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. Ah well, my child, you were not only saved to escape hell, you were saved to enter a kingdom where you are an heir. An ambassador, a varior, a bearer of the message. If you sense a burden in your heart for a people, a city, a group, it is not mere imagination. It is the cry of heaven rising in your bones. Say, Lord, send me, and I will make a way for you, bringing you into places others dare not go, so that you may carry a light no one else can bring. It is time for you to live, not just for your own life, but for the mission. Not everyone will understand you, but I do. Not everyone will stand with you, but I am beside you. Not everyone will walk with you, but I will never leave you. And when you have finished your race, I will welcome you with open arms and say, well done, good and faithful servant. Enter into the joy of your master. Look up and prepare, for the new season has come. The door is opening. The journey is beginning. And now, my child, it is time for you to step out not with fear, but with conviction, not in confusion, but in the light of revelation, not merely to receive, but to release, not just to live, but to live for the kingdom that cannot be shaken. My beloved, if there remains even a shred of doubt in your heart about heaven's love and divine choosing over your life, then now after having heard the full voice of the living one, you can no longer turn away. For what you have just walked through is not merely a series of spiritual insights, but a supernatural visitation, sent from heaven, aimed directly at your soul to stir, transform, and awaken you from a long spiritual slumber. From the very beginning, you were reminded that your appointed time is drawing near. The Holy Spirit no longer whispers in silence, but sounds a clear and urgent alarm, bringing you to the realization that Jesus is coming not in the way you expected, but in the way you need. And in this visitation, there is no room for delay, no room for doubt, and certainly no room for indifference. The Spirit demands your full attention, for He does not only warn, He reveals a new pathway of life, of restoration, and of divine destiny. Every section of this message has been woven like footsteps along a sacred journey, beginning with a call to awaken your spiritual awareness. You are reminded that time is precious and limited. Life is not merely a checklist to complete, but a story being written by the eternal author. In that story, you are not a background character, but a chosen one appointed to fulfill a part of heaven's plan, a plan that surpasses all imagination and defies the limits of human understanding. My dear child, throughout every paragraph, you are being invited to step out of fear, out of self-imposed burdens, out of a life chasing fleeting things, and into an intimate fellowship with the Savior. Jesus does not call you to impose more rules, but to break chains. He does not demand perfection. He reaches into brokenness and heals it with His everlasting love. You are reminded that when you invite Him into the most ordinary moments of life, those very moments become sacred acts of worship before His throne. Then you are led to the heart of the matter. The call is not an abstract idea, it is a living reality. It is when your heart burns for something greater than yourself, when your soul is drawn toward a people, a generación, a group who have yet to know the light. In that moment, you realize you were not merely saved to escape hell, but to become light, to go, to speak, to live for a kingdom that cannot be shaken. I have taught you that if you wait until you feel ready, you will never begin. But when you dare to say yes, even through trembling, the Spirit will complete what He has begun. Like the heroes of faith in Scripture, you do not need to have it all together. You simply need a willing heart. From Abraham, Moses, Elijah, Jonah, to Mary, they all had one thing in common. They dared to answer the call, even in their weakness. My child, you have been entrusted with a flame not to keep it for yourself, but to pass it on. Do not fear if others do not understand you. Do not grow weary if others reject you. Do not give up when you are forgotten. For the one who has called you is faithful, and He Himself will complete what He began. You will not walk alone. You are covered by His presence, guided by His word, and upheld by the armies of heaven. Now, look back at the entire message you have received. It is not merely a sermon, but a living word. It is not just something to remember, but something to activate, not to be stored away in a journal, but to be lived out in the midst of life. Every word spoken is a seed. Plant it deep in your spirit. Every revelation is a light. Let it guide your path. Every touch is a confirmation that you are chosen, called, and empowered. My child, this world is groaning in eager expectation for the revealing of the true sons and daughters of God. Romans 8:19. And now, that word is no longer about someone else, it is about you. Not in some distant future, but beginning at this very moment. Not by your own strength, but by the anointing from on high. You are the one heaven trusts. You are the one hell fears. And you are the one future generations will call a pioneer. A varrior, a burning light in the heart of darkness. My beloved, you have no reason left to delay. No time left for doubt. No room left for half-heartedness. Rise up, step forward, and let this world know that the living one lives in you, moves through you, and uses you as a living testimony of resurrection power. Thank you for listening to today's message. Be sure to click subscribe and turn on notifications so we can continue receiving the living word together. Build unshakable faith and walk in the boundless love of God. Amen.